Hey guys, Tomboy601, and today we're going to be talking final thoughts on carriers. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about our comment of the day. Comment of the day goes out to someone who leaves a comment on one of our previous videos. That's Harry Newey. He says, "What do you think about buying with the Global XP?" He must have caught, I'm at 748,000, so I'm just at the brink of being able to afford one of those fancy ones. I think I'm going to do a community poll and let you guys choose what I buy with my 750. I haven't really bought a full price Global XP ship before. That I just haven't been able to save that much. I've been kind of using it to upgrade tech tree ships with Global. Anyways, I'm going to put a community poll up once I hit 750, and I hope you guys go ahead and vote in it. So, that being said, let's go ahead and talk about carriers. Now, just to kind of guide these, I'm going to go ahead and talk through the community feedback form that Wargaming put up. This is the official form that Wargaming wants you to go fill out so that you, the player, can let them know your thoughts on the carriers. I'll go ahead and put the link up in the description here and on the screen. If you want to go ahead and fill out and let Wargaming know what you think of carriers, be sure to go click this form and fill it out. So I'm going to go through, fill out the form, talking it through with you guys, and then I'll also give my additional final thoughts on it. So first question on the form, please rate your Airstrike event overall, 1 through 5. I really like the event, mainly because we could get the wonderful amounts of XP against bots, and I was able to get a good number of ships upgraded. So 5 stars. How would you rate aircraft carriers in their current form? I really like them. I'm giving them 4 stars. They're not like the greatest thing ever, but they're way better than I anticipated, so 4 stars for that. How would you rate playing aircraft carriers? I think it's a 4. Like, it's an interesting thing. I think I want more time with them as just being a player and against more players, because I think they're going to be exponentially more difficult once there's full lobbies as opposed to half bot, half player lobbies. How would you rate playing against aircraft carriers? I really liked the counterplay on aircraft carriers. It was a little annoying that you would always have them like run away, but out of all of the times that I was playing, I didn't ever feel like singled out or unfair on it. Like, I played a lot of Airstrike this week, and there was no point where I felt like a carrier pilot was like just consistently going after me, and I felt like it was a bad experience. I definitely really enjoyed playing against them. I think the AA is surprisingly strong and pretty effective, but they still have an opportunity to do some damage and affect the game. What other ship types did you find most enjoyable playing in airstrike mode? So there's destroyers, cruisers, and battleships. Destroyers, they were enjoyable. Like, all of them, I feel like were enjoyable. I think there wasn't any one kind of ship that felt extremely poor. Even in battleships, like, I went through my entire Leon. Like, I went through, and I have now went through all of the XP to get it to a Richelieu. So I played a lot of battleships, which I feel like would be the one where you would kind of feel singled out and not like being played against by the aircraft carriers because how big battleships are and how much easier they are to hit as a target. I still really didn't even feel singled out by any ship during that. So I think overall, all of the ships were enjoyable to play against aircraft carriers. Okay, cool. Did you have any issues understanding the interface or the HUD of the aircraft carriers? No, I don't think I had any issues. What about squadrons? I did have one issue. So I'm going to say I had some issues. I didn't realize slowing down also increased your engine temperature. Yeah, right? Like, that's a really weird thing to do where your engine temperature is also slow, like, also increases when you're trying to slow down the aircraft. I did that by mistake, and I felt that was kind of weird. But beyond that, I think the controls were very intuitive. Which type of aircraft do you favor per available aircraft carrier? So on the Langley, I preferred the dive bomber. Ranger, I preferred the dive bomber, and the Hoshu, I preferred the torpedo, and Ryuju the torpedo, because those were the stronger of the two. Rate the effectiveness of dive bombers against different types of ship. So destroyers, I got one hit on a destroyer this week that was human controlled with a dive bomber, so I'm going to rate it not that effective. And then cruisers and battleships, I'm going to say cruisers it's serviceable, battleships it's effective, aircraft carriers I think serviceable, because they were just really weird and narrow, and I think just because of how much AA, they weren't really that effective. So I'm going to say, actually I'm going to go non-effective against it. Rate the effectiveness of torpedo bombers against different kinds of ships. I'm going to say destroyers, they were pretty much useless. Cruisers, they weren't too effective. Battleships, they were effective. Carriers, they were effective as far as how good torpedoes were against each type of ship. How would you rate the available commander skills? I would give it a 3 out of 5, just because there wasn't anything that really stood out. Also, the two commanders, they very much felt like they were mirrored across each other. So I don't know if I would say any one stood out as opposed to the other. Pick your favorite aircraft carrier. Oh man, was it the like? I got my highest damage game in a Ryuju, but and that's because torpedoes felt like they were way more effective than dive bombers. But my favorite one was the Ranger. I just like the look of the Ranger. I like the look of American aircraft carriers. I'm sorry. I'm gonna call it the thing, the Ranger. Okay. Anything beyond the scope of the questions that goes here, comment away. Okay, so this is the opinion section now, and here we go. As far as my thoughts and feelings on the aircraft carriers, I really like where they are. I think there's a couple of things that could be done to strengthen them in a couple of key ways, but not really break them. I think introducing them as a support class is very important. It's very key, and I'm really enjoying them as that sort of support class. This week they did add that sort of counterplay. I think we need a better indication of the area that counterplay is effective. The ability to drop fighters and kind of put air patrols out is really cool. I really like it, but you're kind of left guessing how effective it is. Like, you get the shoot down notifications, but you don't really know, like, okay, how big of an area do they protect? How big of, you don't know perfectly how effective it is. So it would be nice to get a better idea of just how effective everything would be. And I think having a indicator for the patrol fighters would be one thing. Another thing is being able to control the aircraft carrier when you're away. Now, the face buttons, when you're controlling an aircraft, the face buttons are completely unused, which I kind of find a little weird. Personally, I think I would love a solution that let you just press like Y and you would be able to switch back between the aircraft in the air and the aircraft carrier. I know in PC you are able to like set a path for your aircraft carrier. I don't know if we need that. I don't know what would be easier, but being able to kind of micromanage both the aircraft and the aircraft carrier at the same time, I think is going to be kind of important, because a lot of the time you either just put it in reverse or put it in full forward. My strategy was with aircraft carriers is opening, I would put it in reverse, and then I would let the battle sort of play out, and by the time I launched my second wave of aircraft, I would then put it in forward and kind of shoot it towards one section of the map, and then kind of live there until I couldn't live there anymore. But overall, I think it would be more effective if we were able to control both simultaneously in some way. As far as other changes I would like to see, I think it would be nice to bump up the player count to 10v10 with one carrier guaranteed on each side, because they don't have the DPM of a surface vessel. So if they get spawned on a side that isn't the middle, if they're either left side or right side, you're automatically making a weak side that your team now has to contend with. Like, that, those people over on that side now have to play a 2v3 because you chose to play an aircraft carrier. And I don't know if I really like that a whole lot. I think we definitely either need a full balanced team with one, so we'd have 9 and 9 surface vessels, or I mean still 10 surface vessels, but 9 and 9 of the traditional ships with one aircraft carrier on each side, or guaranteed spawn of the aircraft carrier where they match sides, where they match the spawns, and that way it feels a little bit more fair. I think that's the way we would probably have to see it going. That's the way I would like to see it go, but I don't know how it's going to go. The last thing I would like to see changed with the aircraft carriers, or with carrier modes overall, is some of the controls for the aircraft, specifically giving you more granular control on what aircraft are doing what within your squadron. I kind of wish we could drop more than just 2 bombs at a time. Like, if you only have 3 bombers left, by the time you drop those bombs, that third plane is gonna blow up anyways, and your planes just aren't coming back, just because of how effective AA is and the fact that they fly in a straight line. The the attrition rate on the plane seems to be really, really quick, especially in these higher tier games, and being able to kind of more control either when a plane goes and returns home to the carrier or how many planes are dropping the bombs, I think it would be nice. I'm not saying that we're dropping all the full squadron's flight, I think, but maybe being able to increase it to 3 or 4, and kind of give a all one shot kind of like, okay, I'm lining up this run. I know I'm going to have to make this bomb drop. I kind of wish we had that. I understand it would be increasing the potential damage, but also I think the refit time is still there, so you would still need to wait a while. It's not increasing your overall damage potential, but it is just increasing your effectiveness, especially with dive bombers. I understand torpedo bombers just because they seem to be pretty effective overall. It's just the dive bombers where I especially feel that they aren't effective all the time. The other thing I wish is you would be able to kind of put out the configuration in which you're dropping. Like the dive bombers always drop and you get that long ellipse. And yes, I understand that's because that's like the direction of the drop, but I really wish you could go for almost like a wider spread on them, just to kind of help with the aim overall. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more accuracy. I think there needs to be a little bit better mechanic for the drop, but overall I like it. Yeah, that's where I am. I think there needs to be some sort of improvement, and I wish you could drop more payload at a time, just because it definitely feels like your planes are just fodder, and most of the time, by the time they get back up to altitude or whatever, they're dead to begin with, where you would have wanted to be like, hey, look, I know I only have 3 planes left. I would like to make a full run with all of my planes that are left. And I understand that I might lose one of them on the drop, but then that looks really cool for the player to see a plane blow up while it's dropping. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the carriers. What are your guys? Make sure you guys fill out that survey down below. Let Wargaming know what your thoughts on the carriers were. I hope you liked this video. If you did, go hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.